Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Hopefully the truck's not too loud. Over here by Fort Bridger, Wyoming. Heading on over to Portland from Pevely, Missouri. Anyways, took a shirt this morning. Couldn't sleep as usual. If I did a video for every time I didn't sleep, you guys would get tired of these stories or truths. So, This is the one about when a driver took a truck and trailer of ours. First, hold on. I got to tell you. So I'm over here at Fort Bridger. I think it's Bigelow Road, right on I-80 at the TA, and love my shirts. So I go in there. Get my ticket, and when I'm going in, there's I don't know what they call them, like porters or like the fuel aisle guys, cleaners, like trash and porters or whatever. Anyways, this dude is bringing out a bunch of boxes, so I hold the door for him, and he's like, "Oh, thank you," and he saw my military bag. And he said something, but I wasn't really sure what it was, but I know it was in reference to my backpack. Anyways, so I get a cup of coffee, and I go up to the counter. The gal's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So I get my shower ticket, and as I'm waiting for the ticket, the dude comes back in, and I was wearing a Green Bay skull cap, and he goes, "Oh, how'd your Packers do? I'm like, "Oh, we lost in the first wild card." And anyways, that's what he said when I was walking in. So anyways, when I get my ticket, I'm just about to start walking towards the Schurz, and he's like, "Oh," I said, "What team is your team?" And that was wrong. That was stupid of me to start a conversation with this cat. He said it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So anyways, we're sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, when the Packers beat the Steelers at this Super Bowl, whatever." And then he said a year, and I'm like, maybe. He goes, "Oh, no, it was this year." And I'm like, "Oh, you must be like a football encyclopedia or something." Just not like being mean, but just, and the girl behind the counter kind of like smirked like, "Oh, you're going to find out." Well, anyways, this dude sat there talking to me. So I took my ticket and I started walking back by the showers. And if you don't know why I call it Sure, when I was locked up, when I got tased many years ago, there was this black dude in the Indianapolis Metro Jail. I remember when we were sitting down in the bullpen, they were putting us upstairs. Not proud of it, but he was talking to another black dude. He goes, "Yeah, man, I can't wait to get up there and, man, take a Sherman there." Anyways, that's why I call them Shures. So anyways, back to the story, Kurt. Or the truth. He's like, "Oh, follow me." Because he said, "Oh, what shower?" I was looking for the screen to see what shower I was in. And he goes, he looks, he's like, "Oh, shower 4. Follow me." I'm like, "Oh, fuck. This is going to be a long morning." I mean, I already didn't sleep. I'm up way before I got to leave here to get back on the road. I'm like 800 and some miles out. Anyways, he said, "Oh, what's your code?" So I tell him the code on the ticket. At the TAs, I'm sure you guys know if you shower at the TA or Sure at the TA, the codes are all the same. It's 8886 or 6888 star. But it's the way they do it. I don't know why. But anyways, so he punches it in. You can hear the door click with the electronic lock. I push it open, and he's just sitting there talking. And first he said when he was going up to the screen to see what my shower number was, he's like, "How long were you in?" And I'm like, "What is?" And then I was like, "Oh, the backpack, because it's candy." And he's like, I said 3 years. And he said, "Oh, where were you stationed?" I'm like, Vicenza, Italy. We're in the 3rd of 325. My brother Jason, what's up, brother? Love you. Jason Gilbert. We radio station together. He would call our company, or actually our battalion, the gold standard, because it was the gold standard. Anyways, so this dude starts talking about how I couldn't serve, and this dude's probably like in his 20s, mid to late 20s maybe, but you can see there's something off about him. He's got like serious meth mouth. I mean, like bad. He looks like, and he's wearing a baseball cap, and he starts going on about how he couldn't get in because of his immune deficiency or his immune system, and he yanked off his head, and it was like a barber started cutting his hair, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it at first the dude looked like what's that movie? Ding 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 ding. Where the guys are on the raft, Burt Reynolds, and you got a pretty mouth, boy. At first, because the kid that was sitting on top of the bridge that was playing the banjo, I was like, oh, that's who that motherfucker looks like. But the dude in the movie, he was completely bald, but this dude had like patches of hair. And I thought he was kind of like special needs at first, but when he was talking to me, I was like, no, this dude, he knows exactly what he's doing. Anyways, he's telling me how he couldn't serve because of his immune deficiency or whatever. Anyways, he starts telling me how he did go over to, he didn't say what country. He said, oh yeah, I was on the front lines. I was with a militia group. He's like, and they're probably going to call me back up, because everything that's happening. I was like, yeah, it's pretty wild. He goes, but they're going to have to pay me more than $4,000 a month. And I'm like, dude, if you were we trained, Jason Gilbert, he can put a comment in there. We trained with, we trained all over NATO because we were an airborne unit, and we trained with other airborne units in other countries. So the Brits, their paratroopers / Marines, they use these mercenaries called Gurkhas, little ass Asian dudes, and they got a special knife. It's called a Gurkha knife. Anyways, a mercenary is going to get paid way more than $4,000 a month. And he's talking about, yeah, blah, 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 be on the front lines again and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, dude. And I'm literally standing in the shirt, like with the door open, my back. I'm like, dude. I mean, we've been sitting here talking for like 10 minutes. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get in this motherfucker and lock the damn door. And I was thinking, I was like, I mean, so as he's telling me his lies, or what I assume are lies, in my opinion, I don't know for a fact, but he, as I'm looking at him, he's like, I'm thinking, I was like, this dude, he doesn't look like the banjo kid, but ding 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 ding. He looks. If you guys ever seen the movie Goonies, and I am not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be funny. He looked just like a shorter, skinny version of the Goonies. The big dude, the bald-headed dude with the, whatever, the real strong dude with the kids. He looked exactly like they could be brothers, except he was the small version of it. He looked just like the dude from the Goonies. And as he's talking or whatever, he's talking about, yeah, he says, my ex-wife and my kids, they act like I'm a monster. They treat me like I'm a monster. I'm saying to myself, yeah, nigga, you look like a monster, but I was straight-faced, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, man. And he's going on. I'm like, dude, they don't, there's no way they even give this dude a box cutter to fucking break down the boxes. They probably make him do it with a spoon or a fucking butter knife. It's like, dude, come on, man. Anyway, so now I'm getting a little irritated, and finally I just ended up just gradually closing the door as he's talking, and his face is like almost by the door. Like he really wants to get in the conversation. Maybe he wanted to go. I don't know. Anyways, it was fucking weird. But anyways, if you guys are ever in Wyoming at like it's 4:30 in the morning now. If you guys ever want to see, I don't know if you have to buy tickets, but if you want to see an interesting show, come to the TA on Bigelow Road. You may or may not need a ticket for the freak show. I'm not sure. Anyways, so now let's get back to the story. There's this little fun fact for you. Don't get attached to anybody that just keeps talking to you while you're going to the show. So anyways, so there was a bunch of us trucks picking up in Georgia some oversizes, going over to Texas. And these two guys, black dude and a white dude, that drove for, I think it was called Raceway Trucking out of Talladega, in Alabama. And so we were all picking up oversized, and so we got to talking or whatever, and they had some pretty, and I'm not trying to get on to the company. It's not like we have fucking perfect equipment. Although I just went through 2 inspections in less than a week, and we did a Schedule 3 or a Level 3 we passed, and then I just did a Level 2 yesterday in Wyoming. So proud of that. But anyways, we get to talking on the CB, and Raceway Trucking. I mean, at least the equipment that I saw. The black dude was pulling a step deck, real ratty, and he was driving a Freightliner FLD or something like that. I can't remember. It was just some really shady equipment. The deck and the step deck, it was all steel, and it was like the deck boards were all rotted. It was. I thought it was unprofessional, but. Anyway, so we're all talking on the CB, and then we all stop for lunch, and we're talking about companies or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, how's your company or whatever? Like how do they treat you?" I'm like, "Well," I said, "I'm not I'm an owner-op at the end of the day. I mean, I have my own authority." I said, "But actually," I said, "I'm looking to put a driver in a we had a P386 that we bought from a guy. It was black and silver and black, whatever, and that's relevant to the story." So we get to talking, whatever, and the black dude, his name is Tracy Laverne Leach. His mother hated him when she gave him that name. Real, like, I mean, I'm not judging anybody. I'm not fucking perfect by any means. But I should have known the way he talked on the CB and the way he carried himself. But I was pretty new in the trucking, and I didn't really know a lot. So anyways, I give him a card, give both guys a business card, and the black dude ends up calling me, and he's like, "Hey man," he said, "You still got that truck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually I do." I said, "I'm just about to paint it though at the shop." And he's like, "Oh really?" Blah blah blah. And I told him it's a P386 13 speed 2001. It was clean, but I didn't like the color, and our color scheme is silver with black, which had I known that, I would have never painted the truck because it was already silver and black. Except whatever. Anyways, Kurt, you digress. So I got like an hour before I leave, so you guys are gonna be tortured. So he's like, "Oh yeah, man." I told him, I said, "Well, don't quit your job until I know exactly how long it's going to take me to paint a truck, because I had never done a truck before. I had never painted a car before. I mean, anything that was mobile, nothing. I mean, I painted houses and stuff like that, but I never, I didn't know what I was doing." So anyways, he's like, "What color are you going to paint it?" So I say, what's your favorite color? He says, "Blue." Well, blue is my favorite color. Now, if this motherfucker would have said like lime green or, I don't know, any like mustard yellow, I'd have been like, nah. But he said blue, and I'm like, oh, right on, my kind of guy. So we painted blue, and it turns out nice. Really, it was a nice truck. But anyways, I still had to put the headache rack on it and do some other stuff and put it back together because all the fairings and shit were off. So anyways, he calls me. He's like, "Hey man," he said, I quit my job. And I'm like, "Oh fuck." So I'm like, "Well, talk to my wife, whatever." And we ended up putting him on a bus up to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And then we put him up in a hotel for like 5 days. And he helped me at the shop. And I paid him. And so he could only come up with just a regular like luggage bag or whatever, gym bag with his clothes and whatever. With his clothes, because you're on a bus. So I figured, okay, he'll come up here, get him in the truck, get him a load, work him down, get him to Alabama where he lives, and then so he can get his gear and stuff. So we do that. We 5 days, whatever, we put him up in a hotel, and then I would pick him up from the hotel in the morning, and then we would head out to the shop, and then we would work, and then I'd drop him back off. And we were getting dirty at the shop. And I noticed, I'm like, this dude he's not showering. I mean, I can tell. You can smell the BO, whatever the case is. I consider myself a pretty clean person. And his dental hygiene, and I'm not trying to be mean, but his dental hygiene wasn't that great. He was missing a bunch of nuggets. But that doesn't mean you're a bad person. I mean, it may mean that you're probably not going to keep our equipment clean. So, fast forward, we get him a load. He leaves. I got him a load down to New Orleans. And so I tell him, I'm like, "Listen, dude," I said, "because we have a factor company, we don't get paid on the load until they receive the paperwork. The BOL and the rate confirmation and whatever." I said, "So as soon as you deliver a load, I need you to make sure that you scan." So we downloaded the Genius Scan app to his tablet or his tablet. And I told him, I said, it has to be 100% legible. If you think that it looks even a tad bit blurry, then don't send me the email. Because you're gonna scan your paperwork with the Genius Scan, and you're just gonna forward it to the email, and then my email I send it to the factor company. We were with Triumph at the time, and I said, "You understand?" "Oh yeah." And we were running paper logs back then, so I made sure he knew how to log correctly, because I've had some guys on our authority. I won't mention the person's name, but I know they're subscribed to the channel. And it was 3 guys we had running out of underneath our authority out of Texas, and they just ran like a bunch of fucking cowboys. And I finally had to pull the plug on them. Said, "Dude, you're not doing logs, whatever." So I was very strict about how to do logs. So I told him, I said, "So just do me a favor," I said, "for like the first week or so, just send me a picture of your logs, at the end of the day, just so I can make sure." It makes me feel better that I know you've been doing it for a while, but not everybody logs correctly. I mean, and sure enough, he was not. So I didn't get any log pictures like the first couple days. He ended up delivering in New Orleans on Friday late afternoon. I forget what day. He could run some miles, but I ended up getting him a load out of New Orleans, believe it or not, on a Saturday, going over to like middle of Florida or southern Florida. And he wasn't logging correctly, so I said, "Hey, you might want to do this." I said, "That's just the way that we do it, and we have not been." He's like, "Man, I've been doing this for blah, blah, blah." I said, "Well, then do me a favor." I said, and right away, he didn't shower for the whole 5 days that we had him put up at the hotel. Wore the same clothes, no shower. I even asked, when he checked out, I asked the front desk lady, I'm like, "I'm not trying to be a nosy ass dude," I said, "but can you tell me if the shower was even used in that room?" And she called me back. She goes, "No, the shower was not used." I'm like, wow. Anyways, doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you might be a kind of a dirty person. Whatever. So, anyways, I start telling him, like, dude, you know, if you think you're logging correctly, I know for a fact you're not. And I'm not perfect, but I was very strict on logs. I mean, yeah, we ran illegal. I mean, we ran, you know, some of these guys are like, you know, they ran 2 or 3 log books. I never did that. I just start over. And a lot of guys that were running the paper logs, the reason why they ran 2 and 3 log books is so they didn't have to rip it out, throw it away, and then start fresh because they were lazy. So they were just like, I'll just run 3 fucking logs. Whatever. So I tell the guy, I'm like, dude, if you think you are running or logging correctly, I want you to do me a huge favor. I want you to pull in to the next scale you see, go inside, show the DOT officer, hey, listen, I need to know, am I logging correctly? I said, and if he tells you you are, then I'll shut my fucking mouth. But he's probably going to tell you that you're wrong. Did I make sense on that? If he tells you you're doing it, yeah, if he tells you you're doing it right, then I'll shut the fuck up. But I know it's not. Of course he did. And he's like, oh, man, I ain't got time to do all that. All right, dude, whatever. Okay, so just log the way I asked you to fucking log. I was very polite. I was. I thought professional. So me and this cat we started butting heads. Like, on the first load. And I've told him, I said, hey, Tracy, you're not sending me your logs, and you haven't, I said, you sent me the BOL. Of course, he didn't have the Raycon, but I had the Raycon. I said, and we still, like, it was delivered on a Friday, and he had delivered it, I forget exactly when, morning or afternoon. Anyways, it was enough time for us to get the load in to get it factored. And I told him, I said, if we have our paperwork in before noon or by noon, they'll fund us same day. And he's like, yeah. I said, you understand? Yeah, man. So I get, and I am not kidding, I get like 30 fucking emails from this fucking monkey. And I'm just like, and I'm not saying monkey because he's black. He was just a fucking monkey. So I tell him, I said, dude, Tracy, please do not send me logs unless they're 100. I mean, not logs. Your BOL, your signed BOL, so that I can send the broker the POD as well, which is, if you don't know that, it's called proof. It's an acronym, proof of delivery. So I tell him, I said, dude, if you can't read it, if you can't see it, don't send it. And I told him, I said, you understand? I said, because we still don't have we don't have a legible scan. And I said, you understand? Yeah, man, yeah, I get it. Well, I got another like fucking 10 or 15 emails with the same fucking BOL. And I fucking lose it. I mean, not like in a bad way, but I'm like, dude, so I sent it back to him, like, tell me that you think that's legible. He's like, no, man. I'm like, then don't fucking send it to me, man. And then he starts going off at the fucking mouth. You white not racist, you white righteous motherfucker, blah, 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 blah. And he's fucking going off. And so then I told him, I said, you know what, Tracy? And Jason Gilbert, he fucking told me, he hit the nail on the head. Like, dude, you shouldn't have fucking went off on him. You should have just got his ass back to the shop, told him something was wrong with the truck, and you had to work him back. And I should have did that, but I didn't. So, because I'm stubborn. And, but I won't do that now. Well, I'll tell you about another guy that I had to go out to Barstow, California, and recover a fucking truck during COVID. Anyways, yeah, I can sit here all day with truths. So I told him, I said, Tracy, man, do me a favor. Whatever. So what do you take it? He tried blaming it on his tablet. He said his tablet is too old. I said, dude, you and I have the exact same tablet. It's not the tablet. Yeah, it's a fucking tablet, man. I said, dude, it's not the tablet. I said, just do me a favor. Take me a picture or send me a picture of anything in your truck. Anything. I don't care what it is. Just send me a picture. Because I had a feeling of I knew what it was. So he sends me a picture of an Alka-Seltzer box. And it was blurry as fuck. And I told him, I said, dude, clean your fucking lens. Clean. And then that's when he said, you fucking white self-righteous motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. And our fucking text back and forth, I am not kidding you, were fucking vile. Vile. Yeah, I busted out the fucking to him. I did. And I'm not proud of that. He was going off at the mouth racist-wise. And, I mean, I'm not racist, man. I mean, I got one black friend. I mean, no, I have a lot of friends of color. A lot. So it had nothing to do with that. But it got to the point where we were literally, like, screaming at each other. He's like, I'm going to take your motherfucking truck, dog. Blah, blah, blah. He had delivered the load in Florida. And that's when everything went really, really bad. I have to kind of rewind. He had delivered the load on that Monday. And again, now I got 2 loads that I cannot submit to the factor company because of his ass not fucking doing the job of scanning, which is probably the easiest thing we have to do is send paperwork. That's the easiest shit we got to do in this truck. So anyways, he said, motherfucker, I'm taking your shit, man. I'm going back to the house, man. So I shut off the fuel card. I called Florida because he was sending me a bunch of texts. I'm going to crash into some motherfucking cars, dog, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you're fucking with the wrong dude, man. You do not want to do that. So he's like, what you going to do, motherfucker? And so what he did was he just took off. He bent the trailer plate up so that you couldn't read the license plate number, and he just took off with the fucking truck. I called Florida Highway Patrol. I said, hey, listen, I'm just reading his texts. He's saying he's going to smash into cars and hurt somebody, whatever, and that got them kind of like, okay, we're looking for this guy. They never found him. So we didn't hear from him for like a week. My agent tells me, dude, you're going to have to file an insurance claim. I'm like, dude, I don't want. He goes, you're going to have to. You don't even know where the truck and trailer is. Anyway, so we're going through the whole insurance thing, blah, blah, blah. And they're just about to cut us a check for the truck and the trailer. And I get a call from this broad. And she's like, oh, I've been driving past this truck. And it's got like your name on it, Time Machine Transport. I've been driving by this truck for a week. Is that a buck tub? Or maybe it's just the lighting. I hope it's just the lighting. So, she's like, yeah, I've been passing it every day for like a week, man. And this and that. And I'm like, well, where is it? So she tells me. I'm thinking, come on, man. I have passed a truck place or a storage place. I've seen trucks in there longer than a week. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this broad is his fucking girlfriend or family or something. So I call our insurance adjuster and tell him, hey, the truck is here. He goes, all right, man, go down and get it. I'm like, go down and get it? I'm like, no, man, I'm not just gonna go down to fucking Alabama and fucking get this truck, man. I don't know, whatever. So anyways, they send I think another adjuster out there, and he starts sending me pictures, and the truck had a big chrome bumper on it, and it was bent. It was like dented. And he said, hey, was that here before? I said, no, absolutely not. So then they towed it over to a recovery yard in Hueytown, Alabama. Look it up, small ass place. They got a Copart there. That was my first experience with Copart. And so my wife and I jump in the car. Well, actually, we were just dating at the time. Jump in the car, drive down. And we had brand new tarps, brand new straps, brand new chains, gone. And I know that he didn't take them. I know piece of shit Tracy Laverne Leach didn't take them, because when they checked the truck into Copart, they sent us pictures of all the gear in the headache rack. So obviously somebody's clipping shit over at Copart, which, whatever. Our insurance reimburses for it. So, anyways, the batteries were gone. The brand new batteries. It was a shit show. So we had to go and pick up another couple batteries. I'm trying to start the truck. The truck is not fucking starting, and I'm just like, I'm at my wit's end. So we leave, or actually a tow truck came. They towed just the tractor over to Peterbilt, and they're like, well, we're going to have to look at it. So we drive back to Wisconsin. The trailer stays there at Copart, because obviously my plan is, well, when the truck is fixed, then I'll just go over to Copart, pick up the flatbed, and fucking get back on the road and work myself home. Well, it was like weeks and weeks. I mean, like actually a couple months, I believe. And Peterbilt calls us, and they're like, yeah, we found DEF in the fuel tanks. So it's going to be like $28,000 some odd to do all. We got to flush the tanks. We got to pull the motor out, pull the fuel injectors out, blah, 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 all this stuff. And so I was like, oh, shit. So adjuster's like, yeah, absolutely. We'll pay for it. Well, I finally got a call from Copart after a few minutes. They're like, hey, you got to come get this trailer or we're going to sell it. So now I got to take this other truck and bobtail down to Hueytown to the Copart to get the trailer. And I picked up a load of lumber from Alabama going up to Wisconsin. So now I could get my truck and go back out of road. So I was literally passing the fucking Peterbilt dealership that the truck was at. And I turn around and I head back, and I park in the service lot. Go inside. This dude's name was Brad. I called him B-Rad, and I was fucking livid. I walked up to the truck. I opened the hood, and it's still in the state. It's the same state. Now it's been like 3 or 4 months, and they haven't even looked at it. So I am fucking livid. So I go into the shop, I fucking say, where's B-Rad at? And they go in the back, and dude, he didn't come out. And finally he came out. He's like, Kurt, I said, how can you guys give us an estimate for $28,000 whatever, and you guys haven't even pulled it apart yet? How do you know this? And then they're like, well, we're just kind of assuming. I'm like, what the fuck? So anyways, they jumped on it right away, and then that's when they found the DEF in the fuel tanks. And then that's when they said, the motor might be junk. So we got paid out for the truck. I went down, and like I said, I got the trailer. And we had tried, we called the cops. We called Burlington Police Department, because that's where our shop is. And then they said, well, so you actually have to maybe call the Kenosha Police Department because you live in Kenosha. And then they said, well, you might have to call Alabama because that's where the truck was taken to. And I'm just like, so we're getting the runaround. We're getting like the pointing of the fingers. And then after detective after detective, nobody was doing anything. So then finally, I don't know, our agent called and said, yeah, the either one, you can buy back the truck. And I should have fucking bought that truck back. I should have bought it back. It was $3,200, and it was a nice truck. The headache rack, it was a nice truck. I didn't know jack shit. It had an ISX Cummins in it. It's not like I'm a mechanic, right? I just try to figure shit out, but I knew absolutely nothing. Fucking nothing. So anyway, so that's the truth about the worst named person on the face of the earth. Tracy Laverne Leach. And if you know Tracy Laverne Leach, you should give him my number, 414-477-7845. I believe my number is the same as when he attempted to drive for us. So, anyways, the guy's a real shitbag. And there's no love lost with Tracy Laverne Leach. So, anyways, I figure I'd give you guys a little thing. And now, my next one's going to be on a couple, I have a few more. One about Basement Bill, and then another one about Christopher Kidder. So anyway, so stay tuned. Sorry it was so lengthy. Sorry I got distracted by the Goonies dude. So anyways, hope your day is great. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Ciao.